We go. Howdy, folks. Get rid of that black box there. There we go. Oh gosh, we're crooked again. That's a little better. Happy Tuesday, everybody. It's time for another hour of good nature. Made the decision to pull things inside tonight because even though the rain, the storms seem to be kind of breaking up as they head east, it's super windy out. I was dodging leaves and things as I was walking home. So I got a good view of what's going on outside though, out the window here. So if it does change and the storms do come back on the radar, we might have to relocate downstairs. In case you can't tell, one of the furry roommates got a gift. Let me have it, buddy. It's a little beaver and it's a squeaky. So I don't know. I tried to take it away from him before I turned the computer on. He wasn't a fan of that. So I'm hoping that he'll just find the non-squeaky part of it to chew on while we conduct our important nature business. First and foremost, so we got a little bit of show and tell to go through. Unbelievable. This furry roommate does not play. That's Kit. Yeah, sweetheart. 2 more butternuts this past weekend. I didn't add these to the map yet. They're kind of right in a line with the other ones I was finding for local folks. This is 6th Street. These were actually both at Bakerfield Park on the along the 6th Street side, so on the west side of the park. This one is another half shell. This one was chewed open and eaten. I talked to some people over the weekend who thought, well, maybe blue jays were flying these nuts around and putting them different places. I don't know if that's the case or not. This one was clearly chewed open. There's little, you probably can't see it there, but there are little grooves of teeth marks on this one. This one was cracked open. I'm going to match it up. Those are on my desk at work. I want to see if this one perhaps matches some of the other halves that I found, although those were a block away last week. So the white walnut torture continues. I swear we are going to get to the bottom of this at some point, just not right now. Let's see. Next thing up. Remember last week we talked, I think it was just last week, talked about the new spider field guide. It came in the mail. I was so excited. It is heavy, even though it's a paperback. It's a nice paperback. It's coated. It's got a lot of cool stuff in it. One thing, and I get why they couldn't. If they had included immature forms, it would be even bigger and even heavier. It would be helpful though, if anybody out there is thinking of writing a spider field guide, seeing what some of these look like when they're younger might be more helpful. But I have to tell you, I gave you guys some bad information last year. I thought, no, it might have been 2 years ago. So if you're a recent viewer, this will be new information. But some of you might remember, I thought I had found, this would have been in the summer of 2022. I thought I had found the immature form of Argiope orantia, which is the, some people call them banana spiders, or the big black and yellow garden spiders. Well, I don't think I found an immature. I think I found a male. And let me show you why I think that. As soon as I find the page. Argiopes, they build those beautiful webs, but they're sometimes also called the zipper spider because they put a zigzag. That's kind of like their signature on their web. Oh, so actually, there's an Argiope on the cover. That would have saved a lot of time. This is the female, and there you can see the zipper. the signature. There's a lot of discussion amongst spider people of what that zipper's function is. It's called a stabilimentum, which I think is probably the most indicative of the reason it's there. It helps stabilize the center of the web. These spiders hang out in the center of their web in the daytime. Some other people have hypothesized that maybe it provides UV protection, or it makes the web more obvious to birds so they won't crash into it. I don't know. But if you see a big orb web and it's got a zipper zigzag in the middle of it, it's from the Argiope. This is a rancha. We also have fasciata, I believe it's called. It's the banded Argiope, but this one is the big one. This is the one that gets all the looks. This is the one who has a male that looks like this. So, female on top, male underneath. Let me see if I can get the glare off of that. Can you see how its body is much more narrow? And actually, this is a male by my fingers too. Males, remember, have the boxing gloves. Their reproductive organs are up by their head. These guys are smaller, browner, have a somewhat similar pattern on their belly, but it is much diminished. So yeah, that's what I saw. I was analyzing the pictures over the weekend. I think I found a male rather than an immature. So still not exactly sure what these guys look like as babies, if they have that remarkable coloring when they're young or not. But it was a happy day, and I have spent many hours, probably too many hours already, paging through this. If you want the information on it, it is available through the Princeton University. Let's see, Spiders in North America, Princeton University Press, and they were selling it for half price. So instead of 50, it was 25, something like that. So yeah, very cool, very exciting. Something you'll probably be seeing about more of as we go through these warm weather months, whether you like spiders or not. Okay, you know what? Let's go ahead and jump into our slides tonight. I swear, Zoom, I guess, thinks they're being helpful by making new little icons, I guess you'd call them, for how to do these shares, moving things around. I'm onto them, though. I found it. Okay. All right. Let's share the screen. Let's start. Let's start with our May 21st Good Nature Hour. Dangerous severe weather this evening. So we got this emailed to us at work. About 5:30 this evening. You'll notice that it was issued at 5:30 this morning. But the powers that be were actually planning on a training, what they call an onboarding, for a lot of our new hires, and that was supposed to take place tonight from 6 until 8. This severe weather threat was so great that they actually canceled the training. They're going to reschedule it, so they wanted people to stay home. Again, I looked at the radar a couple of times over the last couple hours, and as the storm is approaching Chicago, it does appear to be breaking up. There was just a little bit of yellow, looked like it might hit here, but that was going to be after 9 o'clock. Nonetheless, we are inside where it's safe. Laura, I gotta thank you for this late breaking nature news. This was actually this morning in Laura's yard. Mama duck, who had been sitting on these eggs for, it takes 4 weeks. Can you believe that? 4 weeks, 28 days to make baby ducks. And during that time, these little creatures can be under so much so many threats. She could get taken out by a raccoon, by a mink, by a dog, by a cat. But I think the ones that have been through this before, they know they need to get away from water, and this one did. In fact, there's some concern as to was she able to get back to the water, assuming she was going to take her new family down to the Fox River. But look at them all here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 at least. They're marching behind Mama Duck, making their way down to water and presumably the Fox River. Laura's husband successfully shepherded them across 3rd Street, and they were heading east. So again, they were probably headed for the river. As long as she doesn't take them over any storm drain grates or any other hazards of that sort. And if she can get herself across Route 31. And people, by and large, people are pretty respectful of babies, mamas and babies, especially ducks. I've seen some not so nice things, some not so nice attitudes applied towards geese, but anyway, this was just this morning. So
they were so adorable.
did you get to see them anymore, Laura? Did you go down and check on them, or?
Well, I didn't, because it was at 6:30 in the morning, and I went to make coffee, and I looked out my window, and I'm like, oh my God, they hatched. Because Mama was in the front yard, and I went up and yelled at my husband, we have we have ducklings, we have ducklings. And I thought, I called you, Pam, because I'm like, well, what are we gonna do? But she just knew what direction to go right away. She wasn't gonna wait for us or anybody else, because I'm thinking, you know, we got to help them in some way. But no, Kevin helped them cross the street, and they went on in the neighbor's yard, around the house, and in their backyard, was just heading right toward the river. And it's a bit of a ways, but we'll keep our fingers crossed. We've had ducks, lay eggs before at our house, but we've always had raccoons get them. So we just check on her every morning. She's so camouflaged, and she made it this time. So yay.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So so my phone did not charge last night, and then it actually drained and it shut off. So I don't know what time I actually found your message this morning. I think it was around lunchtime, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, certainly by then I also found a text from another friend who lives pretty much just due east of you, but right on Route 31. So I told her,
okay, keep an eye out.
Keep your eyes open. You might have duckies coming through your backyard.
Yeah. Make way for ducklings. Yeah.
Oh, I love that book.
Me too.
Well, that was great. So this was a great way to start the day, great way to start the program. The March of the Ducklings. Yeah, hopefully I would imagine they will be at Mount St. Mary's, maybe? Or maybe the apartments. Maybe they went into I guess it depends on what street she decided to follow. She went down.
Yeah, I was hoping more for Mount St. Mary's, but then I thought she'd be closer to the apartments. But who knows? She knows where she wants to go. So
yeah, as long as there's not a big mess of feathers in the road, she's right.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Oh God, maybe I'll check tomorrow. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't see. I actually looked earlier, and I didn't see any. So
good.
I think we're good.
Makes me feel better.
Well, thanks for sharing them, Laura.
Sure.
Let's see, what else do we have? So this was another blessed event. Remember the cocoon? So we found last fall, Miss Bonnie and I when we were actually looking for the butternut tree, we found a Polyphemus caterpillar that that night spun a cocoon and then spent the winter in the garage. Well, I brought it out a couple of weeks ago and I put it in an aquarium. Not this one, it was an actual glass aquarium on the deck, so it could start to get acclimated to temperatures and humidity, which is so important with these guys. And when I first put it in there, it was kind of rattly. I wasn't sure if it was going to make it. Well, sure enough, it came out. I was really hoping to be able to like have this beautiful release video that I could show you guys. It is a male. It's kind of hard to tell. Let's see if we can zoom in here. See those those big fluffy antenna, that's a male. I think we talked about this. I think it had already hatched last week. But I hadn't let it go yet because it had been cold and then it had been rainy. So my plan was to release it on Wednesday night. So this was last Wednesday. I was taking, you know, kind of some last shots. I'm actually going to write about this because I was curious how the thing got out. Now this is a polyphemus moth. They're part of the silk moth family. They're somewhat famous for doing all their eating as caterpillars. As adults, they don't even have mouth parts. So there's no way this thing could chew its way out. Their little feet do have almost feels like little claws on the end of them, but I didn't think that was possible, that they were digging their way out. Well, it turns out that they actually release an enzyme just as they're finishing their pupation inside this, and this enzyme helps dissolve the silk that they wound around the leaves. So that gives them an easy way out. Then it softens things up. They're able to push themselves out. They're aided by a couple of hooks. So somewhere over at Good Natured World headquarters, there is a polyphemus, preserved polyphemus in it's in a Tupperware box container, but there's supposedly there's a couple of hooks up on the wings, like where the wings meet the body, and that's supposed to be able to help them claw and hook their way out of this little opening. I'm still pouring through various references on that. That's going to be the column that runs next week, but it was just kind of something that hit me because we talked quite a bit about goldenrod galls last fall and how they are in a similar sort of a situation, but the goldenrod gallfly larva that's living inside, you know, those galls on the stems of goldenrod, they are able to use the hooks on their body to create a tunnel that they exit through come springtime. These guys, you know, there's not enough material there to have to create a tunnel, but I just wasn't sure how they got out. They kicked the door down. Now we know it's a combination of enzymes and the hooks on their wings. So maybe you too keep your eyes open. So what happened? I was taking pictures, and I was again thinking I would let it go. The guidance, because some people raise these moths, and if you have a female come out of a cocoon and you want to attract males so that she'll mate and you can get eggs, you want to keep her out in the open in like a screened in box to attract the males. If it's a male, you let them go so they can go and find a female. Well, this thing, I always thought these things sort of just fluttered. Oh my gosh, this thing had powered flight like you wouldn't believe. I was positioning it here on this stick. I was trying to get rid of this glare that kept hitting the plastic box. And I I had my hand reaching in from the top here, and he pushed, he took off and flew up in the air and was gone. I wanted to return him to the tree where he was found, but the good news is my house is like 2.5 blocks from that tree, so I think he'll be okay. Maybe 3 blocks because it's a double block. But they can actually sense the pheromones of females anywhere from 1,000 kilometers up to I think it was not 1,000 kilometers. I'm sorry, 1,000 meters up to like 4 kilometers. So 4,000 meters. So anyway, he took off. It was kind of breezy that day. Hopefully he was able to find another Polyphemus. I have found Polyphemus cocoons closer to the house here. So I know they're around. It's weird though, we hardly ever see them. So we'll see. Hopefully that we'll find more Polyphemus caterpillars as the summer goes on. So this, Laura, this is the friend who I told to look out for ducklings. She lives over on 31 across from Mount St. Mary's, and she found this cool little structure as she was doing some yard work. She said it was abandoned. There was no activity at all. So we don't know what happened, but this is actually something that the bald-faced hornet female creates. Actually, you know what? I don't think it was abandoned. Now that I'm looking at it on a bigger thing, she had texted these to me. This is the first time I'm looking at them on the larger format. I think I see some larvae in there. I should tell her that so the bald-faced hornet female will create this nest, and she will lay eggs in these cells, and then she will tend to those larvae that are in there, and they're her helpers. So once there's enough helpers or workers formed, then she can set upon her business of just being the egg producer. That she's going to be growing the colony, and then the workers are going to be tending to the brood. They're going to be enlarging the nest. They're going to be bringing food to the queen and the babies. Yeah, but I think I need to owe her a text, right? I owe her a text. I need to get back to her maybe sooner rather than later, because if she brought this inside, these things might start to pupate, and she might end up with some wasps in her house. Again, that name bald-faced hornet, a bit of a misnomer. They are actually a type of paper wasp. And then we got this. This was on a driveway the other day, and you guys might be seeing this too. If you're out and about, there is a ton of ant activity. Now that things have warmed up, there is a lot of things happening in the insect world. To describe this, what's going on here, I got Dr. Eleanor's book out, Dr. Eleanor's Book of Common Ants. This is the Chicago edition. There's a whole chapter on what are called pavement ants. Their species name is Tetramorium species E, although she says the pavement ant is common, yet scientists haven't given the species a real name. So it's Tetramorium species E. Let me just read you what she says. Each spring, ants poke their antennae out of earthen holes, getting a feel for their new year on the beat. Workers of the pavement ant species push out of their nests with a mission to establish their neighborhoods before ants from other nests nudge in and squeeze them out. These ladies are territorial, and they don't like any other ants walking on their turf. When they first emerge in spring, all the previous year's boundary lines have been wiped away with winter, and all bets are off. They have to redraw their property lines with warfare. And it's so gruesome it would make Attila the Hun blush. Pavement ants are built for battle. At 3/16 of an inch, workers are about half as long as one of your shirt buttons is wide. They are dark reddish black and have antennae that bulge out at the tips, making them look like they're waving little clubs from their foreheads. They have tough armor-like skins called exoskeletons that can withstand the knocks of war. If a pavement ant were the size of a dog and you could get a good close-up look, you would see a beautiful landscape. Their faces and bodies are covered with hilly peaks, rivers of grooves and hairs, and they have two little mountains of spines poking out from their backs that lean toward their rear ends. When neighborhoods overlap, huge numbers of workers from each side collide. They furiously drum one another's heads with their antennae. They rip one another apart with their mandibles. They'll separate an individual from the pack and close in around her, gnashing at her body with their jaws, grabbing her with their claws, and turning her into ant dust. These ants mean business when it comes to setting boundaries. After the melee, The carnage is astounding. Thousands of ants litter sidewalks across the country, a jumbled dark line of body parts and pieces that blow in the wind. So there you have it. Keep Dr. Eleanor's words in mind as you're out and about. It's a very common activity. I've seen like 6 of these as I've been out walking around. The pavement ants, which by the way, they're not native, but they have spread around the world. They're very, very common. So since we're talking bugs, let's talk about the bug of the year, the Magee cicada, the periodical cicada brood 13 has come. It is starting to emerge. You've probably been seeing on the local news, if you're local, the reports from places like Elmhurst, Lombard, Western Springs, Downers Grove, Highland Park, Evanston. There's pockets of these cicadas where there are just millions that are emerging. We do have some around here. This is where I headed on Sunday. I met some friends for lunch, and then afterwards headed out. We ate at, by the way, if you are in the mood for a really phenomenal and yet different pizza, Ella's Italian Pub, fantastic, in downtown Geneva. It's also conveniently located right across the street from the Little Traveler, and that's where this tree is. This is the big maple tree that is right at the corner in front of the Little Traveler on 3rd Street in Geneva. And this is where I remember seeing cicadas before in this tree. So here's an exoskeleton. Here's an exoskeleton. I think there's one more. There were 3 in this photo. Let's zoom in a little bit more. But you know, not like we're seeing. There it is. I think that's it. I counted about 10 shed skins around this tree. This one was kind of funny. This is a very Little Traveler bit of artwork hanging on the tree. This is a hook from something else. I'm not sure what they used to have hanging there, but here is our little friend, or its shell anyway, peeking out from behind the bark. So they are starting to move. We had pretty warm temperatures again today. They want the soil temperature to be about 64, 65 degrees, 8 inches underneath the soil. So apparently we're reaching that point here. So after this, so I live about 35 minutes by foot from downtown, this part of downtown Geneva. It took me about 40 minutes to walk to meet my friends because I was sort of looking and listening. I did hear one cicada calling from an alley between 3rd Street and Richard Street over by, I think, Ford is the cross street. Heard one calling there. So I got a little off course. It took me about 2 hours to walk back home because I was going, I went up 3rd Street very slowly, looking at all the trees on the parkway, some of which actually have been placed recently. I think they might have been where ash trees used to be. And then there is a fair number of larger trees that are on the property next to different shops and restaurants. I went up 4th Street, and then I also went up 5th Street. I saw this, I believe, was on 5th Street. So this is a tree that is mulched. I think it's an oak. You can see there have been some holes where insects, cicadas, have pushed their way up and shed their skins. I didn't see any live ones. Didn't see anything happening. This is a linden tree that had 2 shells on it. One was on an actual leaf here, and then one on the side. I believe this was on 5th Street too. This is from our friend Bob Andrini. He found this, of all places, Hickory Knolls. I don't remember hearing a lot of cicadas was at that time called Campton Hills Park back in 2007. Now, I wasn't working for St. Charles at that time. I was still down at Fox Valley Park District at Red Oak. And we didn't hear many there either, but I do remember going to all the parks around here and not really hearing any, but we'll see. Maybe there were enough to create a small population of them out there in the Hickory Knolls natural area. So this picture was, there was a similar one posted on Facebook. So when I was at the Nature Center yesterday afternoon, I walked over. This is Garden Plot 75. If you want to go and see this exoskeleton yourself, it's kind of weird because it's not really near any tree. There's, these are garden plots. They don't want to have shade there. So the trees are a good distance away. Remember though, when a cicada comes out of its egg, it's on a twig on a tree, it's so tiny that gravity's not going to pull it straight down to the ground. If there's a breeze that day, it's going to blow some distance away. So I think that might help explain where this cicada came from. Did I see any other cicada shells? No, I looked at all the trees that were west of this post. I went all the way over to where the garage is, if you can picture that part of the natural area. Didn't find any more shed skins yet. Again, it's still early, so we'll keep looking. Now this is my friend Debbie's neighborhood. She lives down in Aurora, near Aurora University. And this was this morning. She said it was just like magic overnight. She gets up pretty early every day. And takes her dog for a walk. She thought this was about 6:30 this morning. This tree was just loaded with them. She gave us a close-up here of one. Can't remember if we've talked about the cicadas, the geography of their bodies, but they have, of course, their wings, are unfolding here. What looks like their sunglasses here. So there's red things here. Those are their eyes. They've actually got 3 more light sensing organs here. But these are what they see with these big red eyes. And then they've got these 2 black concentrations of pigment that will spread out and cause the rest of the body to darken up. There's kind of an interesting paper. I might have mentioned it before. That explores the phenomenon of crowding in suburbia and how cicadas. Now these guys look nicely spread out, but some of the suburbs in closer to the city, the trees are so far apart, and there's so many cicadas clustered upon them that they can't spread their wings out all the way. You end up with a bunch of deformed winged cicadas. Now, it doesn't really affect their ability to reproduce because they don't really need to fly to do that. But the problem then is going to compound itself over time if more and more cicadas end up attached to only 1 or 2 large trees. That's not going to help the population expand at all. There's a mature. So here the recently closed and still very soft. By the way, if you are inclined to eat cicadas, this is the stage you want them in before those wings and the exoskeletons harden up. And then here you can see the dark pigment has spread throughout the body. Cool orange coloring on the wings. They're really quite striking. I've yet to see one myself. Not going to quit trying. So this was actually yesterday here at Casado. I was spreading some Dutch white clover seeds. But before I did that, I wanted to get some amendments to the soil. This is out on the parkway. So the soil out there is not so great. There's a lot of clay. There's a lot of rocks in it. So this was composted manure from Primrose Farm. Had a lot of worms in it. And I tell you, these robins were on that in a little bit of no time. They flew over and were checking things out. having quite a feast. And I was thinking, gee, I wonder if these robins are going to have a chance to eat any cicadas. Well, as I was pondering that question, look who pulls up across the street. Yeah, the neighbor gets their lawn treated. And this here, even though True Green will say that they don't spread anything that's harmful, you got to figure it's having some sort of effect as it soaks into the ground. There's a whole underground world that we have very little understanding of. And I haven't seen any published papers yet, but I would imagine there's somebody out there looking at the effects of fertilizers, herbicides, pesticides on the subterranean ecosystems that surround us. So this was out at Hickory Knolls. Okay, we're kind of bouncing around geographically and via time, but this was when I was out at the nature center last night. I had some things to drop off, and this little bird flew in. I love it when a bird has something easily identifiable. This is an eastern kingbird. Now, the field mark that identifies it, well, there's a couple things going on. One is the behavior, and that is obvious in this picture. They pick a prominent post that they then swoop out and catch insects from. They're part of the flycatcher family. So they swoop out, grab a bug, come back, and they'll swoop, different directions. So that is one behavior. The markings here, the dark head, the dark body, they actually have just a wee tiny little bit of red at the top of their head. Hardly ever get to see that. But what you do often get to see, ta-da, is this white band at the end of the tail. So if you see a bird behaving like that and you're thinking, ooh, flycatcher, is it a phoebe? Is it a kingbird? In this instance, so this open territory around it, prominent post that it flies from and returns to, and then that white band at the end of the tail, you're looking at the eastern kingbird, Tyrannus tyrannus, the tyrannical kingbird. So Miss Bonnie sent us this photo and then this photo, because yes, it is that time of year too. It is time for turtles to be laying their eggs, and it's a time for drivers to be watching out for turtles that are laying their eggs. Now, Bonnie lives in a rural area, so this turtle, oh, look at that, you can see the eggs down there too. She's doing a good job. This turtle can maybe come and go without too much fear of getting hit by a car, but boy, around here, people just, 8 out of 10 people will stop for a turtle, but then there's those other 2 people that have something extremely important. I've had so many people tell me that they stop for a turtle only to have somebody else go around them and run the turtle over. So happy to see that this turtle is accomplishing her mission. Bonnie did say when she texted me this that this is a big snapping turtle, but it is not the biggest one. There's a much larger one that they used to see there on their property. Bonnie also, let's see, how did she put that? She said that there is also the multiflora rose is in bloom. It's lovely and it smells so good. I can see why people were taken with it, but damn it all to hell. Well said, Miss Bonnie. That is, that multiflora rose, that is, it's just as prolific as some of our other invaders, like honeysuckle, like buckthorn, and it's got those obnoxious rose thorns on it, so it fights back. Yeah. Let's see, more news here. This is from the McFarlands. They caught, there's a couple of pictures here. This is a northern water snake, very like classic water snake positioning. they want to keep their head above the water so they can see where they're going. In fact, their eyes, I've always, there's different traits of snakes that don't make it into the field guides. And with water snake, their eyes are so high up on their heads, it makes them look a little, crazy. Let's take a look. I love this picture. So let's zoom in here. See that the eyes are very, very prominent. They almost bulge out a little bit. This is a animal that hangs out in water. It has to get out of the water and let its scales dry off, or it will be plagued with blisters, and that's not a good thing. So even a water snake needs to dry itself out. But they do hunt a lot in the water. I love this photo. It is, I think it's kind of cruising. Maybe it's given a sniff here, and see the tongue is out. It might be hunting something specific. Maybe it has a taste for tadpoles that day, or frogs, or fish. Anything that lives in the water, and even a few things that don't, are fair game for these snakes. They unfortunately get a bad reputation for people see a snake in the water and they automatically assume that it's venomous. The northern water snake's body is rather heavy. They can be quite chunky, especially if they've just had a good meal. But yeah, they're totally harmless. They do bite. They probably bite more than any other of our local snakes. They bite first sometimes, and then ask questions later. But they are not venomous, and the bites. My experience has always been they heal very quickly because their teeth are tiny. Remember, snake teeth around here are aggressive Velcro. They're only there to hang on to the food the snake is eating. Now, something is going off in my brain. I recently read, but I cannot remember exactly. There's been more changes in taxonomy. I think they are moving away from the name northern water snake, but that might be for species that are south of here. I'll have to check on that. But Nerodia cypodon is, as far as I know, that is still the species name. There might be some changes in the subspecies coming, but super cool shots. Snake cruising right along. So let's stay with snakes for a little bit longer. I don't know if Bob is on tonight or not, but there is a birding mecca to the east here. It's off of the shore of Lake Erie. It's called Magee Marsh. Now, locally here, you might be familiar with Magee Marsh. That's over near Blackwell, for part of Blackwell Forest Preserve, I think, over in DuPage County. But Magee Marsh, Magee, is it's a wonderful spot to head in the springtime or during migrations. There's lots and lots of birds that go through there. And Bob and some of the family were out there observing, as they have in the past. But bless his heart, Bob also sent pictures of things that weren't birds. This is a gorgeous fox snake. We don't always see this orange color around the head, but this snake really is looking sharp. I didn't remember fox snakes having as prominent of a brow as we see on this snake, but makes sense. These are daytime hunters, and that brow is going to help shield the eye just a little bit. But it's a great profile and a wonderful coloring on the eastern fox snake. Now this one I wasn't exactly sure. It's a black snake, and there's different types of black snakes. There's black rat snakes. There is the black racer, or it's called a racer, and they're often black. I looked up Good old Google, you go to the search engine and you type in Magee Marsh black snake. And it turns out there is a melanistic version of the garter snake that is quite common there. Now, I don't know if that's what we're looking at. The reason I'm thinking it might be is because it doesn't have a very shiny look to its scales. Oftentimes when a snake looks like that, it means it has very strong keels. If we go back here to our fox snake, you can see how it's kind of glossy. Now fox snakes do have keels on their scales, but they're very weak. Just a tiny little ridge in the middle of each scale. Our water snakes and our garter snakes have a strong keel to their scales, and it can give them this sort of a matte finish. So it looks pretty heavy bodied for a garter, but I'm wondering if that's what it was. Again, cool snake nonetheless, and much appreciated. Now here's a garter. Let's see, can we zoom in on this? And probably, I don't think this is going to let me zoom in because I imported these photos, but yeah, you can see if you do like I just did and you put your face right up there next to your screen, you can see that there is a line or a ridge on each one of the scales on this snake's back. This is a garter snake. So this one might be a garter. This one for sure is. When a snake has a lot of extra pigment, garter, that the extra dark pigment will obscure the yellow stripe that we would associate with the species. So I'm just not sure. Shape of the head there. I don't know. Cool snake, cool pictures, and they're much appreciated. I love this one, the Yanni turtle. Now it's so what we're looking at here is it's a painted turtle, and looking at the claws here, they look pretty short. So I'm going to guess this is a female. Painted turtles are one of a few species of aquatic turtles where you can look at the front nails and decide if it's a male or a female. And these nails look short enough that I believe this is a female. It's kind of the opposite. You would expect the lady turtles, they have the long manicured nails, but it's actually the males who have those longer nails. And then we have this guy right here. I think this is the grown-up version of the young red-tailed hawk that hung out around Hickory Knolls all winter long. Let's see. This video is just going to keep playing, but see how the eye is still light in color? As a hawk matures, and I always have to go slow with this because I used to have a parrot, and with parrots, the eye is dark when they're immature and it lightens up as they get older. But with hawks, the eye is light when they're immature and it darkens as they mature. So this bird, and I don't know, this is a pretty dark marking here. I don't know if it spilled something, if it's molting, but you can get a good look there of that light colored eye. Now I'm gonna see what the audio is like on this, because while I was watching this hawk, there was a Baltimore Oriole that was singing in the tree here. So let's give this see what the audio is like. Yeah. So that audio, let's listen to it again. Actually, I can see it. Isn't that funny? It just moved away. I was so focused on the hawk. Um, but this is a tree. Turn the audio back off. This is a tree that overhangs the fire pit behind the nature center. And year after year, we have seen orioles nest in that tree. Its branches kind of reach quite a distance out, and the oriole is a bird that likes to build a nest out towards the end of a branch like that. So the two seem to be, coexisting, but the oriole didn't seem to be harassing the hawk at all. The hawk didn't really seem to be too bothered by the oriole. There were other birds in the area too. We have so many house sparrows by the nature center right now. And I was thinking, are they coming over from the corrections facility next door? Are they, what is it about Hickory Knolls that is giving us, and I know they're nesting, and the sign on the building, are we aiding and abetting this invasive species? But I've noticed there's a lot of house sparrows around here, around Casa Auto, around the neighborhood here. When I was walking to Geneva the other day, there were so many sparrows in the athletic fields of Geneva High School. They've got the football fields are there that I walked through. The football field is there, and there's also baseball fields. Well, the baseball fields, the outfield fence is covered with a corrugated pipe, kind of like like a drain pipe, a drain tile, corrugated plastic pipe. I guess that's to protect, I don't know, in case somebody's like trying to catch a ball. They don't want them to get hung up on the fence. Well, anyway, there's gaps in that tubing, and the sparrows are nesting all along those outfield fences. So house sparrows love to get in little cavities like that. And of course, they also are well known for ousting birds that we try to encourage, like eastern bluebirds and tree swallows, other cavity nesting birds. And sparrows, they're not very nice when they take over an area. They usually kill the parents. They'll kill the young. They'll throw the eggs out. So there were a lot of sparrows that were chattering while I was watching this activity here too. And yeah, I'd be curious to hear from you guys if you are seeing a lot of house sparrows too. Interestingly enough, we have tons of sparrows here, and they're not entirely welcome in their homeland in the British islands. They are declining. There's been a lot of changes in agricultural practices there. A lot of the cavities, the older houses that they used to take refuge in, are being either fixed up or torn down, so they're losing habitat that way. And I don't know if maybe I don't know, it's just a different climate, different culture over there, and their numbers in their homeland are going down, whereas here, where they have been introduced, their numbers are going up. So yeah, as I was watching this hawk yesterday, and he was just so, even though it's a young bird, it's made it through the winter, so its chances for survival from here on out are looking good. A lot of red-tailed hawks, they do not make it through their first year. It's about a 50, sometimes even more than that, % mortality rate. For hawks. Actually, a lot of wildlife doesn't make it out of its first year, but this one, I think he's feeling pretty cool, pretty confident. It's made it through that first year. It made me think of this Far Side cartoon. I don't know if you can read it there, but this is one we used to talk about all the time when I worked at Red Oak and we'd see a hawk sitting in a tree. We'd always remember good old Gary Larson. And this cartoon dates back to the days of Walkman. It says birds of prey know they're cool, and they really do. And they're sitting there, they just hardly ever look ruffled, especially if they're mature. Sometimes the immatures can get themselves in little pickles, but birds of prey, they know they're cool. All right, folks, tell you what, let's stop the share here. I think we had just a couple of chats to get through. What do we have here? It doesn't look like Kansas. Yeah, I don't know. I think I saw Elvira, what was her name? Grump? Why can't I remember?
Gulch.
Thank you.
Elvira Gulch.
Thank you. I'm like, Gump doesn't sound right. That's a whole other movie. Oh, was it Elmira Gulch? Anyway.
Elvira, I think.
Elvira Gulch.
Sure, now you got me guessing. Second guessing.
Yeah, I haven't seen anybody on bicycles going by, but that wind was something else. And Meredith looks like has been doing some online shopping, so you can pick the book up for $27.99 and probably with free shipping too. This one was, I think the whole thing. No, this doesn't have the total on it, but it was under $30 for the book. Well worth it. And does the nail length of the painted turtle relate to who does the most digging or what? Diane, those front legs are, I had first read that the nails were used for a courtship ritual where the male would stroke the female. That's what I read years ago. But I've seen males doing that to each other. I don't know, it kind of makes me think of Three Stooges, Curly.
Well, I was wondering if the males used it for fighting or defending or.
Yeah, I think it does play a role in courtship, but it might also play a role in territory disputes with other males. I see it. If you find yourself in the neighborhood by Red Oak Nature Center, go in and watch their turtles. They've got this great turtle pond that has glass, so you can see the turtles underneath the water.
Okay.
And you'll see that quite a bit where they do that to each other.
Okay.
So,
okay, yeah. Interesting. Because usually there's a reason when there's a difference like that, and I'm just trying to figure it out
what it is. Yeah. In fact, sometimes because the females, like, they will dig with their back legs, and it'd be interesting.
Okay.
I've never looked.
That's true. I've seen that really, even snapping turtles, I think, use their back legs, don't they? I think. Yeah,
and it'd be interesting. I've never compared the rear nails of males and females, but you'd think the females might have maybe a broader, something that would be more helpful for digging.
Okay, well, I'm curious about it. I'm going to do some research.
That's what we're going to do. And there'll be plenty of turtles that you can actually do field research on.
Okay.
Right.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks, Di. Well, thank you, everybody. This went fast. We had a lot to cover, and I think we got through it all. Next week, I believe we're off. I think next week is a bye week. It's the
that's what I have on my calendar.
Okay. All right. So, folks, it'll be 2 weeks from now that we get together again. So, in the meantime, have a great rest of this week. We've got a holiday weekend. Those of you who have served or are paying respect to someone who served, have a respectful Memorial Day. We will see you, it'll be the first Tuesday in June. Have a good rest of your night, everybody. Take care.
Thank you, Pam.
Thanks, Pam.
Thank you, Pam.
Bye.
Thank you, Pam.
Night, Pam.
Yeah.